Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Lucy Price, and today we are going to be talking about 6 pieces of advice that have absolutely changed every area of my life. I'm talking relationships, self-love, career, health. So if you want to get some piece of advice that could change your life, then you are in the right place. But before we dive into that, all of the YouTube stuff, if you like this video, I would be very grateful if you gave it a like. If you want to see more of this content, please subscribe. And I want to hear your thoughts too. I want this to be a community, so please share your thoughts with me down in the comments. Advice is one of those funny things in our society. I think sometimes people give advice when they really don't need to, but then other times people give advice that is just changes your entire brain chemistry. And you never quite know what is going to land at what time. And I think it really is particular to you, particular to the stage of life you're in, the headspace you're in when you hear it at the time. But these pieces of advice weren't necessarily blatant pieces of advice, but they were things that have absolutely stood the test of time for me. Like, these are pieces of advice that I have gotten sometimes months ago, but most of them years ago, when I really thought about what are the things that I keep going back to, what are the things that I keep thinking of. This first piece of advice, I think I actually heard it on a YouTube channel. I heard it on either a YouTube short or a video. Buy items that actually feel luxurious to you. When that advice landed, I realized that's not just for fashion, that's for every area of my life. Invest in the things that actually feel luxurious to you, that actually are things that you care about. I'll use fashion as the first example just because I'm wearing one of those pieces, this leather jacket. So this leather jacket for me was one of the more expensive things that I have bought. It was definitely an edge. I definitely questioned it in the store. I was with my aunts at the time and I was like asking them, what do you think? What do you think? Should I do this? And I was getting quite worked up about it. But this jacket is something that's been on my Pinterest board for a long time. I kept seeing the style, I kept seeing the fashion of it, I kept being drawn to it. And I really thought to myself, I want something that's quality. I want something that's going to last. I don't want to engage in fast fashion. I don't want to buy something that's cheap, $20 from wherever. I want something that's going to sustain, something that is quality, something that feels luxurious. And every time I put this jacket on, I feel luxurious. I feel good. I feel confident. I feel like it's just so nice. And I think it really does apply to every other area. So let's take relationships, for example. I think on social media, it's really easy to compare our partners or what our partners should or shouldn't be doing to someone who is randomly on the internet that has a completely different life, maybe a completely different economic status, maybe a completely different value system. But we sometimes compare and feel like, well, that's what it's supposed to look like. It's supposed to be that way. I'm supposed to be with a partner who does these grand romantic acts every single day. I'm supposed to be with a partner who's willing to buy me Gucci or Prada. And sometimes you have to think about, what do you actually value? If you value those things, then yes, you might want to consider if your partner matches up to that. But do you really value those things? So for example, for me, I really don't care if my partner buys me a Prada bag. That's not our lifestyle. I do really care that he brings me coffee every morning. That feels really loving to me. That's something that feels really nurturing. I care that the first time I was figuring out my health insurance, he sat with me for an hour explaining everything that was going on. I care that we can sit together and feel like ourselves together. That to me feels like luxury in a relationship. Someone who is a partner, someone who is there for you, someone who wants to build life with you, his patience, his character. Those are the things that I care about. Health. Do you care about running a marathon? Do you really? Or do you just want to feel good when you put on your dress? Do you want to feel strong? Do you want to feel like you can lift up a grocery bag without having to heave in breath? Really think about, like, what does luxury mean to you? Really getting clear on what is actually important to you, what is actually luxury to you, what is actually quality to you, and not only changes how you spend money and how you show up, but it changes the experience of your life. You have a higher quality of life because you are actually investing in things that you care about, not that someone else says you should care about, not what society's standards of luxury is, but what you actually value. One of the pieces of advice was choose people who are for you, for your wellness, for your well-being, for your happiness, for what you care about, for you. I think it is so easy for us to try and invest in people who are not reciprocating to us because we're trying to get them to like us. We're trying to prove something. We're trying to prove that we can be accepted, or that we can be in the in crowd, or that we do deserve their validation or attention. And so we pour all of our time and our energy into people who are ultimately not for us, aren't for our highest well-being, aren't for who we are at our core, our essence, who don't understand us, who don't fully value us. It is the quickest way to get into cycles in relationships that are harmful to you. But the thing is, you're choosing to do it. You're choosing to invest in those relationships. And when I first heard this piece of advice, it kind of hit me like a truck. It really was hard to hear because I recognized that there were still some people in my life where I was doing that. I was trying to earn attention. I was trying to earn affection. I was trying to get them to validate me and value me as a person, and they just weren't going to do that. And it didn't matter how hard I tried. It didn't matter how much I changed myself. It just wasn't going to happen. And I think that a lot of us experience this in our lives and feel really sad and hurt and frustrated and wonder what's wrong with us and feel like we're not worthy and feel like no one loves us as a result, when really we have power. We have power in choosing people who are for us, who care about us, who accept us as we are. And when you choose people who are for you, again, your entire quality of life just increases. You enjoy careers. Like, think about it. If you've had an employer in the past who you know doesn't care about you, who you know doesn't value your well-being, maybe they're even an ass to you, it's not pleasant to go to work. You might get a nice paycheck, and that's fair enough. Maybe your value is in the paycheck and not the people. If that's your value, then you know your value. But a lot of us want to enjoy where we're working. A lot of us want to enjoy the people we are friends with and not get bantered with all the time or picked on all the time. We're told that, oh, yep, you messed up again. Well, that's just like so-and-so, isn't it? Like, most of us don't actually want that. We want to feel accepted by our communities. And so to feel accepted by your communities, you do have to choose people who are actually for you and not for you to change and not for you to just wave a magic wand and become this different person. So choose people who are for you. You always have the right to change your mind. This piece of advice really helped me as well when I began my business, when I started out as an entrepreneur. I was really nervous to put myself out there because people are people and people learn and people change and people's opinions change. And I was really afraid that I might have been held accountable to something that I said or I've done in the past that I don't necessarily agree with anymore, or my opinions changed. And this idea of you always have the right to change your mind was really helpful, because if someone is holding me up against my past, well, I'm not my past anymore. I'm not that person anymore. And my opinions may have changed and my behavior might be different now. And I think that knowing that you always have the right to change your mind, you always have the right to believe something different, that you can choose a different way of being, a different way of life. Not in the way that you might not have to be accountable for some of the things that you did in the past, but you just aren't that person anymore. It allowed me to be braver. It allowed me to put myself out there more. I think that part of the reason we cringe so much around our past selves is because we feel like we're just being being told that we are that person or we are that version of ourselves. And the thing is, you're not. You always have the right to change your mind. You always have the right to do something different. It doesn't matter if you've been dating someone for 5 years. It doesn't matter if you've been in a career for 20 years. It doesn't matter if you've lived in one house your entire life. You always have the right to change your mind, because life is ever changing. The only thing constant is change. And so you're going to change, and you ought to change. That's part of the beautiful experience of being human, that we change, that we grow, that we evolve. And so you'll always have the right to change your mind. This brought me so much comfort, and it is so simple. One person cannot be everything for you. Thanks to the media, thanks to pressure and society, I think we've really been sold this story that one person is magically meant to fill every aspect of our lives. It's supposed to take care of every need, it's supposed to fulfill us, it's supposed to just like check all of the boxes. And the thing is that humans are human, and one person cannot be everything for you. It doesn't matter if it's a friend or a lover or a parent. It doesn't matter who it is. They can't be everything for you. Different people fill different needs in our lives, and different people have different strengths. If you want someone to roughhouse with, go running with, climb mountains with, I am not that person. You need someone who's going to sit by you, listen to you, hear you, understand you, and guide you if that's something that you want. I am the perfect person for that. But if someone was trying to tell me that I'm supposed to fit all of these things that I'm just not, I would feel so frustrated and angry and misunderstood. And yet we put that pressure on other people. We don't like that pressure when it's on us, but we do subconsciously, I think because of society, put that pressure on other people. We have to unsubscribe from that narrative, and you will be happier because of it. Your relationships will improve because of it, because you won't be putting pressure on your relationships. You won't be holding people to expectations that they can't actually meet because that's not who they are. And also the return will start to happen too. You'll redefine the quality and the culture of your relationships when you step into this mindset. You also start advocating for yourself in a different way when someone's starting to pressure you or tell you that you should be something or do something. You can stand on your own 2 feet and go, this is who I am, and these are the needs I can meet, and this is the person I can be for you, and this isn't the person I can be for you. And so if you need this person, I think you should go and seek that person. The culture of relationships change when we do this, when we recognize this. And I've only seen people become happier and more fulfilled when they step into this mindset. When I first graduated college, I was really lost. I was an acting major. I was really unsure what I wanted to do with that and who I wanted to be with that, where I wanted to live, what I wanted my life to look like. I felt like adulthood just like hit me, and I wasn't prepared for it. And I freaked out. I freaked out about not having a safety net anymore. And one day I just broke down crying in front of some friends, some acquaintances. I had a break about it. And it was my friend's partner at the time who looked at me and said, Lucy, something that you realize when you get older and when you have experience is that you become your own safety net. You become your own safety net. You trust yourself in a different way. You provide for yourself in a different way. You set up your life to catch yourself in a different way. And you become the safety net that you're looking for. And it was exactly what I needed to hear at the time, because I didn't have that perspective. I didn't have that trust. And I didn't know how to cultivate fully how to become my own safety net, whether that was emotionally or financially or practically. But the idea that I had the power to create my own safety net, that a safety net wasn't something that was just outside of me, but something that I could create, I could cultivate. It was revolutionary, and it changed the course of my life. is what made me, when I was working in corporate, immediately set up an emergency fund. I didn't go out spending my checks on clothes or experiences or anything like that. I put it in savings, high yield savings account, and I made interest money. Make interest money. If your money is not in a high yield savings account, put it in. I am not a financial advisor. I just see a lot of people with money sitting in a checking account and it's not gathering interest. Get free money. That's like advice number 7. But I set up my life differently. I set myself up to have a safety net way sooner in life than I would have if I didn't go through those experiences. If I didn't get that piece of advice in particular. And I don't think that he even knew that he was giving me life-changing advice in that moment. But it did. It changed my life. This last one came from an ex-girlfriend of mine. We were in college and we were sitting in her dorm room, and we were talking again about acting and the future and whether we were going to get the careers that we wanted. And she said something really profound to me at the time. She said to me, I can't control what happens 10 years from now, but I can control what happens tonight, and I can't control how I show up tomorrow. I can control what I invest my time and energy into. As someone who had intense anxiety about the future at that time, the idea of just like taking a step back and focusing on now, focusing on tomorrow, focusing on what you can control, it was something my brain had not thought of. My brain was so focused on 5 years from now. I see my brain doing this even today. I think about, am I going to be okay at retirement? Am I going to be okay to have kids? Am I going to be okay? I watch my brain do this. And every time my brain does this, I bring it back. I bring it back to, what can you control today? What can you do today? What is within your realm? What can you invest your time, your energy, your intention into today? Not 5 years from now, because you can't control 5 years from now. You can control today. Now that I'm remembering that conversation, she gave me a follow-up piece of advice to that statement too. And she wasn't thinking about it in advice, she was just saying something that was so profound to me at the time. Sometimes the best advice is something that you don't even recognize as advice. It just hits you in a particular way when you need it. But she also said to me that the choices I make today impact what I get 5 years from now. And that is so true. If you choose to spend your time worrying, freaking out, never taking steps in any direction because you're afraid of what could happen if you do, you're not going to move in any direction. That is going to be your life 5 years from now. But if you take a moment and trust yourself to take one tiny step in one direction, to do one action towards one future that you want, you'll start to see that path lie out in front of you. And it's hard. It's hard to get your brain to focus on now. It's hard to get your brain to focus on the minor details, especially if you're someone like me who has anxiety, or especially if you're not a detail-oriented person. But those are the things you have to teach yourself to do and train yourself to do, because what you do now is going to create the 5-year future, and you can only control what you do now. This is true in relationships. I don't know if Nate and I are going to get married, but I do know that how we treat each other now and the conversations we have now are going to get us closer to clearing up that for ourselves. I don't know where my business is going to be in 5 years, 10 years, but I know that the time and intention I put into it now is going to lay the foundation for it all to build. I don't know what my health is going to look like in 5 years, but I do know that if I drink water and eat well and exercise, I'm going to be better set up for that. Life is a funny thing. Life takes us in directions we can never expect, and it grows us in ways that we could have never imagined. But it happens in this moment. It happens now. Let me know which of these pieces of advice resonated with you the most. And if you got a piece of advice that absolutely transformed your life, that changed your brain chemistry, please share it with us down in the comments, because you never know who might need to hear it today. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you want to hang out with me some more on some other platforms, I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok, and I also have a podcast called Shift Your Story. The Shift Your Story podcast is much more geared towards relationships and self-love. So if you want to get some more specific tips and specific tools that you can use to create the life and the relationships that you want, to get through relationship anxiety, a hard breakup, someone cheating on you, being single, dating, definitely check out the Shift Your Story podcast. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you all very, very soon. Bye.